Today we are joined by Houry, founder of the Wellbeing Zone, and she also composes spiritual, uplifting music. So we'll be discussing alternative health and wellness as well as alternative music. And how are you? And thanks for coming on.
Thank you, George, and thank you for inviting me. It's not very often I do podcasts and I get interviewed, so I'm quite chuffed and humbled. Thank you so much. I'm hoping that I can share some of my experience with your. With the listeners.
Excellent. We don't just, go for people who, have a huge following. We are discussing with Houry some of the small projects that she's doing, but great projects. And she's also been involved in the freedom space and sort of, spirituality. And obviously we discussed music as well and obviously well-being. So, I guess the first thing to discuss would be your story and how you got into this space and how you sort of moved away from the system and how you feel about the system. But how did your story begin? Because I know everyone in this space has an interesting story to tell, usually.
Yeah. So I was I was born in the UK from parents who are Palestinian, Coptic, Armenian. So my mother was an Armenian, my father Palestinian Copt. And we lived in Kuwait for 5 years and then moved to the UAE, United Arab Emirates. And I was sent to boarding school when I was 7 years old in Lebanon. And so that's where my difficulties, shall we say, started. So I had quite a traumatic childhood as a result of, being in boarding school and many other things. I didn't realize really any of that until I was in my 30s. And I was heavily bulimic from the age of 14, which is kind of like a mental disorder where you eat and you throw up. And it's to do with control issues. So if you didn't have any control in your life, and if you had mother being very controlling, then, it kind of manifests that way. I didn't realize there was something wrong, although I knew that something wasn't right in my life. Just didn't click until in my 30s. And then I started going and doing Reiki sessions through a friend. She told me, let's go and learn Reiki. And through Reiki, it opened me up to so many other different fields of healing. And this, we're talking 1994, 95. The trigger was a breakup with a boyfriend, and that really devastated me. And then I went into Reiki and I learned Reiki. Got married, but still I hadn't dealt with my issues.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's a process, and again, the traumas, you kind of start, if you haven't dealt with your traumas in the past, you tend to repeat those patterns over and over again. Correct. Like you start attracting, the abusive partners or the events in your life that happened in your childhood, or you were conditioned that way in your childhood. And so I realized that I'm still repeating those patterns. And I thought, no, I've got to do more. I've got to start delving more into. I had to sit. I had therapy. I had to have therapy because I had a lot of issues to deal with. And I realized that the only way was to sit with myself and to sit with my emotions and let these emotions go through me, because I was always, happy-go-lucky. Oh, let's not deal with this. No, let's do something. Let's divert, pattern interrupt. We don't want to feel bad. No, let's feel good.
Avoiding.
And I was doing that.
Yeah.
And then it kind of hit me that, no, I need to sit. I need to sit with myself. I need to sit with all my issues. I need to go through all the stuff that I went through and emote and cry. I mean, maybe some people don't feel comfortable crying, but for me, crying is very, very healing. And so, I would go through waves and bouts of crying and then feeling okay. And then again, anyway, this was my healing journey. And it's still a process because I can't say that I'm completely healed. I still seek therapy. I still do my meditations and dealing with fears, and I still get emotional, and I still think of the past sometimes. But, slowly but surely, it kind of like, it becomes less and less, negativity attached to the past events.
Yeah.
And eventually the goal is to become like, okay, that was a movie. It's a movie in the past. You look at it. Okay, it happened. Okay, let's move on now.
Yeah, I think this is the key. Before we even talk about off-grid and talk about crypto and talk about any other solution, I think the ultimate foundation is to heal ourselves from our traumas. And I think
absolutely.
Otherwise we won't be able to build communities that are out of their ego, and therefore they'll break down. And and it will just continue a cycle, like you said. And I think that's the problem. But I think there is a lot of people, it seems, goes through a breakdown and then get a breakthrough. I've noticed that happen with myself too. And I think that happens. And meditation and spirituality are a big part of that. And it's a consistent journey. Anyone who doesn't have therapy, I urge you to do that, just because it's not anything to be ashamed of. We were programmed and we have our own issues as from a child. Even people who consider their childhood to be perfect in quotation marks, there's always something that you were programmed at some point, either by school, by your parents, by your ethnic group, by any of these labels. So it's great to hear. I mean, what about your? How did you sort of come to realize that the system is kind of against your own, I guess, freedom and for the good? I guess. How did you sort of find that out?
Yeah, well, in 2012, I moved from the UAE with my son to the UK for his education. And I wasn't working in the UK. I was just being a mum to my son, and I had all the time in the world. And so I think a friend mentioned something about David Icke. And I started looking up David Icke and his stuff. And oh my God, it was such an aha moment for me. All the stuff that, I didn't feel right about in the past just all came together and made sense from what he was saying. And I just read and I read a couple of his books, and I started listening to him. I went to one of his seminars in London, and it really opened up a whole new world for me. And I became very curious, and I started looking up others. And another one was Barbara Marciniak, who channels the Pleiadians. A lot of information she gives out. Who else? I got into Cryon, but I think Cryon is controlled opposition now. All he talks about is Zion and going back to Zion. And so, because Cryon is big, and I was fooled that Cryon was channeling the right. the right people. But you've got to be very discerning these days, because there's so many charlatans out there. I mean, I used to listen to Abraham Speaks also. Abraham Speaks was channeling Esther Hicks was channeling Abraham Speaks, Abraham being the group of spirits. And they also corrupted, also infiltrated, controlled opposition. I don't believe in Abraham Speaks anymore. So you've got to be very, very discerning. Mm-hmm. And so after 2012, I woke up. I could see. I mean, once you wake up, immediately you see stuff around you. You can tell this is fake. This is not fake. This is, planned. It's incredible.
Yeah. It's like you can't go back. It's like that's it. No. At that point, the door's shut behind you, isn't it?
That's right. And they thought I was going mad. They thought I was a crazy woman, because of course, when you wake up to this, suddenly you wake up to this other world that you didn't know about. I went crazy. I said, I've got to tell the world. I've got to get in. And I was posting stuff on Facebook and sharing and saying, this is what's happening. Wake up. And, everyone thought I was going crazy.
Yeah. I think it's an interesting thing, because I'm starting to think now that it's kind of set up in that way, that certain people will never wake up. Now we can do as much as we can to help and to spread a message. But I think there is, at some point, I think that in this sort of whatever we live in, I think there seems to be a sort of cutoff of, okay, there are going to be certain percentages of this population that will not sort of change their views. So I think the big key is to try and help people who are maybe open-minded, and also to help each other in this sector of society where we're looking for solutions to live outside of what currently is going on. So I guess that's a good segue to your business, the Wellbeing Zone, and what you do with wellbeing. Just explain a little bit about it and what you're currently doing.
So when I was seeking therapy, I felt that this is something that I really was passionate about too. So I decided that I'm going to get, some qualifications and certifications in order to help my family initially, and then others. So I got into hypnotherapy and NLP, emotional freedom technique. So I think you're aware of what hypnotherapy is, and or should I explain hypnotherapy, George? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a big important topic actually, and something that I've tried to look into lately. But yeah, go through it.
Okay, so basically, everybody seems to think that hypnotherapy is like this person on stage who can get you to do anything, and you don't remember anything, and it can be quite dangerous. Oh, it's far from that, because hypnotherapy is with the consent. Once the person says, yes, I want to be hypnotized, then that's permission for the person to guide you and to help you contact your subconscious mind, because the subconscious mind is the one that's controlling us. Although we think on the conscious mind, no, you might say to yourself, oh, I'm going to lose weight. Yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. You probably will lose a little bit of weight, but the subconscious mind, which is much, much more powerful than the conscious mind, will decide, no, because I need to be protected. There's some certain issues that haven't been dealt with from the past, for example. Say the person has been sexually abused, and and a lot of sexual abuse victims tend to put on weight to protect themselves.
Okay.
For future, so that they don't get abused. So, for example, subconscious mind is going to say, "Oh no, you're going to put back that weight back on." So you see what hypnotherapy does. It takes the conscious mind out of the way, because conscious mind is always protecting the barrier between the subconscious mind. And so we take it away so that we talk directly to the subconscious mind and come to an agreement with the subconscious mind, so that it is protecting you, but in a positive way, in a constructive way, rather than a negative way. And so hypnotherapy is with hypnotherapy, you can go back to your childhood events, which you have blocked. You can go into fetus mode. You can find out what your parents were saying. If your mother wanted to get rid of you, in when she was pregnant, you can go to past lives also. And so it's a very good way of healing issues from childhood, and also from past lives, if there is a karma involved.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we're definitely in. So yeah, I think we're definitely in a place now where you can see the collective consciousness is like just suffering from trauma that hasn't been dealt with, and same for us, even, obviously, but we can see that. I think the important thing is to do the work, the self work, and hypnotherapy does go a long way to doing that. The first step that I made was personally just counselling. That sort of helped on the conscious level, right? But the subconscious is something you won't even recognise is there. So, yeah, any way to deal with the traumas will make your life so much better, because I believe we're creators of our own reality, in a sense. So if we can fix those issues, we'll have a better life going forward. So, yeah, the repetitive cycles, people who are, addicted to any substances and stuff like that, this is just past traumas coming back, and you're not sort of dealing with that. So, yeah, it's really interesting what you're saying there. So do you personally do hypnotherapy?
To be frank, I was practicing hypnotherapy. I don't much anymore, although I do want to go back into it. But at the moment, I'm not taking hypnotherapy sessions, but I do want to get back to it, because it's quite satisfying.
Yes.
It's quite satisfying, yeah.
I guess it's important to trust the person as well. If someone's got a very similar mindset, in a sense that you don't want to just choose anyone for hypnotherapy, I believe, just because, in that sense could be dangerous. But I think if you can have a very good connection with your hypnotherapist, it will definitely work out well, in my opinion.
Also, with hypnotherapy, the hypnotherapist cannot ask you to do anything you do not want to do. You are very aware of what's happening during a hypnotherapy session. And you will remember it. You will remember the session, but the hypnotherapist cannot ask you to do something you do not want to do. And so it's very important with the hypnotherapy session to trust your hypnotherapist, and also because she or he will, you have to follow the instructions that she gives you or he gives you, because only then can you be hypnotized, when you follow the instructions, but you have to trust them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting. It's a very interesting topic. Something that definitely I think it's something I'm looking into personally, and it is something that I think it could help many people with their trauma, for sure. Yeah. I guess another thing that you actually contribute to is sort of alternative music. I know you're into alternative music. Just touch upon how you sort of get involved in that space, and what what you do and what it is really, in regards to frequencies, and what basically you're doing in that space.
So when I was going through a very low period in my life, it was during my divorce in 2015. I learned how to play a little bit of piano when I was young, and I love to sing, and I love to dance, and I played also a little bit of guitar. I preferred the guitar because I could sing the contemporary songs with the guitar. And I did that when I was a teenager at school, and I used to have quite a few people come and listen to me in the evenings, during after dinner. And I seemed to be, very confident at the time singing. And then somehow life took over, and I became very, like public speaking. I had a fear of public speaking, and I wouldn't play anymore the guitar or the piano. But in 2015, when I was going through my divorce, I was at a really low period, and suddenly I don't know what guided me, but I felt I needed to express my emotions with music, and so I composed this song, and then I decided, okay, I'm going to put some lyrics onto it, and after about a year, I had my song. It took me a while, actually. I had my song, and it's called "I Have a Dream." And "I Have a Dream" is about exactly what we are going to do now. And this was in 2015. And I have a dream that we are all one, under this sun, and we're coming together as one, and we're building, our hearth together. And we're letting go of all our fears, and we're no longer slaves anymore, and we're connecting with the key within, and with the song. Each one of us has a song inside us, and so this is what the song is all about. I can share the song if you want. It's I had it produced professionally. And it's on SoundCloud, so I can share that with you.
Sure, yeah, we'll have that in the show notes for sure, for you guys to check out. I mean, what in regards to the sort of the actual music frequency? So I know it's 432 hertz music. That seems yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. So my music isn't for 432 because I don't know how to create it that way, shall we say, at this point in time. But all the music now that you hear is at 440 hertz, and this is very disruptive to our human body field. Our body field resonates best with 432 hertz. And this is also very harmonious with the Earth's fields also. Because, the Earth has a field. Everything is vibrating at a frequency, and everything has a sound. Even, human beings, objects, everything has a certain frequency and a certain sound. And this is fascinating for me because I would love to learn how to heal with sound. I'm not there yet. So you could take a tumor, and if you gave it the correct frequencies and sounds, you could heal that tumor.
Yeah. I think Tesla was onto something, obviously, in regards to frequencies, but yeah, that got sort of disrupted, obviously. But yeah, I think it's very interesting, that space, and it makes sense because we are energy, right? So we are frequency, full of energy, and if you can basically control that through sound, through these sort of frequencies, which it makes sense that the music is very dumbed down at this point. Not even with the frequency, which is obvious, but with the words and with the sort of message that it points across now, there's not much there. It's very, very basic. And obviously it talks about the sort of side of life, like in most of the sort of top 10 is basically very, very either mundane or it's about money or, you know, it's not there to uplift you. Now you can I don't know if you can see the difference for when you listen to different types of music that makes you feel good versus the sort of top 10 that nowadays we have. There is a massive difference, even on a personal level, I believe. Just listening to, I know this is, I don't know if Bob Marley was using 432 hertz, but his music was at least uplifting and very, his words were very, you know, open and spiritual in a sense, versus, and it had meaning. And nowadays we don't have anything like that. So, you know, it makes sense to control people through these types of frequencies. So yeah, it's a great point. Try and get some 432 hertz music going. It is, I believe there may be some on YouTube. I'm not too sure if they are actually 432 hertz. I mean, do you have that sort of? Yeah.
You get, if people are into hand pans, I just bought myself a 432 hertz hand pan, and it really sounds so beautiful. I can give you a little bit of a thing if you want. Got it here. So.
So are those, that is beautiful. I've actually heard that before. Is that like a Russian, is it called like a Russian drum? Like the metal?
Yes, it's a RAV Vast. It's Russian, RAV Vast it's called. The one that I have is a RAV Vast. I think it's originally Russian.
It's so interesting because I know someone here, my cousin actually has one of those, and I was always wondering what it was. And I mean, obviously he was very far ahead in his journey, because I was like, what's he doing? Like, what is that? And I remember him playing that one night. It was silent on a piece of land out in the fields here. And I remember him playing that. And I actually got emotional. And I was not one of those types to be spiritual back then at all. It actually did something to me for sure, because I felt something when he was playing that. And I think that's where my journey started actually. So yeah, I mean, it's great that you have one of those, because it reminded me of that. I
had one specially ordered as a 432 because most of them are 440 hertz. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you have to be careful about these things because obviously, that's something you have to sort of ask. I believe guitars can be 432, right, as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Yep. So anyone out there who's a musician, if you haven't known already, so 432 hertz, definitely the type of music you want to be playing. So I guess let's move on to what your outlook on what's to come and what you believe is to come. Obviously, we don't want to get too negative, but what do you think is coming? And then after that, we'll go into what you're doing and how you're preparing, etc. But what do you think's coming at the moment in regards to the world situation and our society as a whole?
I think we're going through the birthing canal.
Yeah.
So things are going to get pretty shitty and difficult, I think, for the next 2 years, maybe 3. We've given our power away. So, and what's happening outside is so much a reflection of what's happening inside. Yeah. I can look at my past and the people involved and the events involved, and I can mirror that with what is happening now in the outside world.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
So that's why it's so important for for us to heal ourselves, because as we're healing ourselves, we're also healing the outside.
Yeah. And I think one point to make is, if you're in your ego still and you haven't done the self-work, you can't help other people. And that's full stop, in my opinion. I think once you do the self-work, you can then help other people, and you'll be able to help other people. I think that's the misconception. If you want to help people all the time, and I understand that sort of thing, but you actually can't help people emotionally, really, unless you've done your own work, because you're also in trauma. So I think, like you said, that's how we'll heal the world, in a sense. Yeah, sorry, carry on.
And so I think with these and this cabal, this elite that has taken over, because we gave our power away, we are to blame too. So if we give our power away, if nobody's residing in my body, if my spirit is somewhere else, someone else is going to come into my body and take it over, just as an example. So this is what's happened. So these people have just taken over the world, and they're they're heading. I mean, we're heading towards food shortages, I think. It's definitely coming. So getting your money out of the banks, putting it into commodities or, anything tangible, precious metals is a good thing. But this is also a wake-up call for us. It's a wake-up call to take back our power, because, and this is where I'm saying is the birthing canal. It's time to wake up. Start coming together in communities, growing our own foods, having our own water, become totally self-sustainable rather than giving our power away. So this is going to take time, and some people are not going to follow. Are going to be following governments and media and all of that. There is a bifurcation taking place, I think. So there will be two worlds. I think there will be a world where, the elite and the control system and the surveillance and, transhumanism is going to take place. And then we're going to have another, the opposite, where people come together and it's we go into nature, basics, healing, music, creativity, growing our own foods, and coming up with a new system and a new way of life. And I'm not sure how the other one, whether that's going to last or long. I think it'll self-destroy probably in the end. And then you have this new new way of being to carry on, living on this earth. I think there are benevolent beings. I believe in aliens. I believe there are other spirits out there, and I think probably we will be able to get in touch with them too, and they will probably help us in when we are ready.
I think that's very interesting, because a lot of, obviously, whether you believe that or not, you should be open-minded enough to have a conversation about these sort of things. And I think that it would be naive of us to think that we're just we've been sort of sold the story of we're just some random event that, a big bang event happened and now suddenly we're here, is crazy. And obviously that seems ridiculous to me now. I mean, it goes against science that Big Bang actually can create Earths, because it expanded, but it doesn't actually go with the actual formation. They actually doesn't pull together. So that own story is already pretty much false. So, I mean, these sort of things, we have to be so open-minded about everything, because we have to question everything that we think is true, basically. And
we have to question every single thing we've been taught, from the education system to the science to religion. Every single thing we've been fed a lie. So we've got to go back and research and be open-minded and question all these things and come to a conclusion ourselves.
Yeah, and you'll find the answer.
Awake, yeah. When you're awake, you'll know. You'll know that it's all been lies.
Yeah, it becomes so obvious, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess to move on to what you're currently doing in your own personal life to prepare for what's coming, and also any projects that you're working on. Yeah.
Can I just mention also that I use Ness Health, which is I'm a practitioner of, and Ness Health is like a bioenergetic resonance biofeedback system, which I have been using since 2010, and I became a practitioner of, and that has helped me so much through all the traumas I went through since 2010. To help me balance myself, basically, because it works on the human body field, and it works on energy and frequency, and gives you the correct information to balance you out, basically. So I'm a practitioner of that, and I use that basically most of the time on myself, and I have clients also who use that. So, and this can be done. You can be anywhere in the world, and your voice, because it's energy and vibration and frequency, can be recorded through the portal, and I get your scan. Basically, I can see what's happening in your body field, from the meridians, from the organs, from the nutritional stuff like the minerals and the vitamins and the heavy metals, and the mind-body link, the traumas, the emotions, the chakras. So I can see all of that in a scan, and then I can recommend stuff from nutrition to the corrective remedies, to if you need to get tests done, etc. So I use that for myself. And how I'm preparing is, I want to get out of where I am now. I advise everybody to get out of the smart cities. Smart cities is where the 5G and the surveillance and the vaccine passports and all of that is going to take place, and it's all going to come together, and the CBDCs and the digital currencies, and so getting out of smart cities. I'm actually looking at Zanzibar at the moment, but I'm also going to go to Panama, because I think having an option in South America is a good thing. So I'm going to go and get my permanent residency, which is very cheap to get, actually, in Panama. So I'm doing that as an option, and I've stocked up on some food, not much, but I have, because everything is kind of like going very expensive here. It already is a very expensive place. So I've also got little plants around, tomatoes, leaves and mint, and I'm growing a few things, but I know I'm not going to stay here for very long. Hopefully not more than 6 months. I'm hoping I can find somewhere else to move to. I'm still not, I'm just waiting for the synchronicities and the signs, because that's how I operate. I wait for the signs. And what else am I doing? I've bought silver, I've bought gold, I've bought a bit of platinum, I've got some cryptos, and with George's help, I'm going to hopefully go into the stable coins. I haven't done that yet. In terms of health, I recommend taking these as staples basically nearly every day. So liposomal vitamin C, like 2,000 milligrams, zinc, selenium, vitamin D if you're not getting it where you are from the sun, quercetin, but not every day. Quercetin is a good one. It's kind of like an anti-inflammatory. And what was the other one? Magnesium for sure. And potassium is another good one. So I think and NAC, NAC, and N-acetylcysteine, that's NAC, which is a precursor to glutathione, which is very important, especially to eradicate heavy metals, which we are bombarded with everywhere. Sorry, B complex, very important. B12 is very, very important. B12, yeah.
It makes a difference, doesn't it? I actually take pretty much that whole list, nearly. There's a few that I haven't yet, but I think it's important because we need to realize that most of the food we're getting, if we're not already growing organically, it hasn't got these vitamins or minerals in them anymore. They're pretty much, just not giving you the nutrients you need. So having these sort of vitamins and minerals on hand is always good. Also, going back to where you are based, I think if you can't get out of where you are in terms of a country, at least leaving the major population zones is the step that you could take. I think that's probably, I think you would agree, the best course of action.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I don't know if you're in Canada where you can't really leave if you haven't had a medical procedure, then, at least moving into like areas where it's, just sparsely populated, you'll probably be okay, in my opinion. Obviously, there's no guarantees, but I think being outside the cities is the most important move that anyone can make in the next, probably in the next year or two, without being in fear as well, because I think the fear will bring the issues to you as well. I think that's a key one as well. But go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was going to say we have to come together. We have to really come together because, we've been programmed to be separate, to compete with each other, my family and everything like to be selfish and separate. And this is how they have divided and ruled us, controlled us. So now it's the opposite. It's time to come together with like-minded people, with your friends or whoever who think alike. Come together and establish something, because it's win-win when you all put something together. When you all work together, you put money together, you all benefit. I can't stress that enough. It's and this is what I want to do. I've got a few friends around the world, and we're planning to buy something together and to live off and the land and nature and water, and you have your animals, and it's win-win.
Yeah, it is. Once you're self-sustainable, there's no pressure. And I know a lot of people are thinking, I don't have time for that, or I've got mouths to feed, which is true. However, you won't actually probably need a job in the end if you have a self-sustaining place of your own. So there wouldn't be a pressure of, I need income ASAP and I need to do this, do a job you hate, etc. You'll be more free. So, build the resources is very important now. If you haven't already, just try and build the resources that you have. And then, move into tangible assets. That's for sure.
And the thing is, we come to this world with gifts. We each have a talent. And, when you come together with a group of friends or people of like mind, and you come together and you share your gifts, or you create something, you can create something together. And that can be something that you sell to the world. Maybe you create a retreat or something. You have a well-being center or something, and that's how you make an income with the community that and the land that you've invested in.
Yeah, and once you do the self-work, and it goes back to this always in the end, right? Once the self-work happens and you get more and more out of the trauma and out of the ego, you'll have more opportunity, and you'll know the talent you have, or you'll know what your calling was. And then you can obviously use that to make a living, or, move into a place where you're happier. And that's the big thing. It always goes back to your traumas and getting out of those situations. So I guess thanks, Houry, for joining me today. I look forward to thank you. I mean, I look forward to having you again in the future. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or Spotify. Plus, if you're interested in getting your money out of the banking system, protecting your wealth for the Great Reset, check out the show notes for a link to cryptonymous.consulting.com. Also, we'll have links to the Wellbeing Zone, Houry's business, as well as her music, and also for Nest Health as well. So you can definitely check that out if you're interested in the show notes. Peace and love to you all, and thanks again, Houry.
Thank you. Peace and love to all of you. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.